everybody. So today, David and I met and recorded our thoughts on the various movies that we've seen over the spring. He was actually recording this from his car, and so there were a couple moments of audio issues where there's some bubbles and just some the fluctuations in the volume, just some different stuff. But I still thought it was a pretty small part of the overall long podcast, so it was still worth posting it. But I just wanted to let you know. Sorry about that, but I hope you still enjoy it, and love to hear your thoughts. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited today. We are here to talk about the movies that we saw from February all the way through April. This is our quarterly, I guess, recaps that David and I do, and we really enjoy doing this. And David, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure of mine. So thanks for having me once again.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting, I guess we call this the spring quarter.
Yeah, springish. It has been interesting. Not my favorite quarter of movies, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah, there's some hidden gems, some different ones, and and some. It was sort of a weird grouping because now summer's starting, of course, to creep into the spring, and so we're getting some of those, and it's been an interesting, particularly for animation. I'm gonna have a lot to say about a lot of different animated films, so that one should be fun. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. And yeah, it was sort of a weird time period for me because, of course, I saw a bunch of stuff at Sundance, but then also I missed a lot of stuff because of Sundance. But then also I had my grandma pass away, and I had the whole Shazam mess that we'll talk about. And so it was a little bit of a weird time for me as far as you definitely saw more than me, but we'll talk about it. And so, yeah, let's just dive in. We are going to start with the 1st of February. And its first one is one that I saw on the 1st. It's called The Wandering Earth. And this is a movie out of China. It was a really big hit over there. And so I went and saw it. And I really enjoyed it. It's a big, bombastic, over-the-top movie about the sun is getting closer and closer to the earth, and so they developed this insane scheme, I guess, that they are going to literally move the earth and they're going to move it closer to Jupiter, and it's so convoluted and so ridiculous. But it had actually quite a bit of heart, and it was just sort of spectacle entertainment that, unless you're talking about maybe a certain Marvel movie we'll talk about, but I don't know, you don't get this kind of spectacle entertainment done well, I don't feel, that often. And of course, the Chinese people literally saved the entire world, which was hilarious. And but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty fun little movie. I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, something like that. So yeah, it's on Netflix now. So
yeah, I just heard about that this week, that it was on Netflix. I had never heard about it till a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So if you wanted to see something, see what the another part of the world thinks is fun blockbuster, check it out. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you have your rankings for the year?
Oh, yes. I have my rankings, and this does include some Sundance movies, but I have 57 for 2019 releases. And I have The Wandering Earth at number 13.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So you saw Arctic?
I did. I saw Arctic. It is another one from our planes that have crashed into the cold wilderness universe. I don't know if you remember that, Rachel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that at the end of 2017. So this is another one of those movies. And I'll be honest, it may be one of the stronger of those movies, those type of movies, but I'm just kind of tired of those. Like they're a bit played out, so I couldn't fully appreciate this movie. There's hardly any dialogue. It just reminded me so much of that Kate Winslet, Idris Elba, with The Mountain Between Us. Reminded
Oh,
me so much of that without the cheesy love story.
well, that's you. Then it's no good. That's the best part about it.
True. Yeah, so technically, I think it is a pretty good movie. Personally, I
No,
was
no.
bored
Yeah.
and it didn't
Does it
bring
have
much
any
to me.
big names?
Um, it it has the lead actor. I'm trying to remember his name. I've seen him in a bunch of things, but I cannot remember his name. I can't even tell you anything else I've seen him in. So, his
All right.
name is, I'm pulling it up right now. Of course, just, oh, it's Mads
Oh, Matt
Mikkelsen.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then you saw Miss Bala.
Yes, I saw Miss Bala, which is a remake of a Mexican film by the same name. It means Miss Bullet. It is about Gina Rodriguez. She is wanting to join this pageant contest with her friend. Her friend gets kidnapped, and she has to go through this whole ordeal with the Mexican cartel to try to be reunited with her friend. I've heard the original is pretty great. This one was not good at all.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very cheesy. I just something about Gina Rodriguez in this. I've appreciated her in other things. I did not like her character. I did not like her acting. Um, yeah, this is definitely one of the worst movies I've seen this year. I rank this at 44. By the way, I ranked Arctic at 38. I don't think I said.
Okay. Good. All right. So then Velvet Buzzsaw. And so this movie, I thought that it was just good enough to it has a lot of problems, but I thought it was just funny enough, and I thought the sort of the kills were just creative enough, like that melting painting kind of and some different ones I thought were cool and kind of fun. And so it's got lots of problems. It's not perfect, but I barely went fresh on it, and I have it at number 40.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Dan Gilroy, mainly because of Nightcrawler, which sorry, he's the director
Mhm.
of this film. Which I'm actually watching Nightcrawler with my friends tomorrow night. It's one of my favorite movies of the decade. Um, but yeah, I didn't love this. I guess maybe I had too high of expectations. I expected it to be more grounded in reality.
Oh.
Um, I expected the characters to be developed more because that's by far his strong point is really taking a main character and fleshing them out so
Mhm.
much. And it just didn't have any of that. So I was pretty disappointed. I would like to give it another shot eventually. But yeah, I put this at number 36 for the year. So not great.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't great. That
No.
but just barely for me.
Okay.
Then Cold Pursuit. You saw that?
Yeah, Cold Pursuit is not what I expected. This has Liam Neeson. It's kind of another one of those revenge movies. It seems like he makes this type of movie every year.
Uh-huh.
But the difference with this one was it actually had some subtle humor in it, which I really did not see that coming. I laughed quite a bit. It almost seemed like Liam Neeson and the production of this film, they're almost like poking fun of just that type of actor that Liam Neeson has become. So it's more that revenge thriller, the dad who wants to get justice for his son who's dead now. If that man had no experience and really didn't know what he was doing. So yeah, I liked it a lot more than I expected to. Um, I put this at 22 for the year so far.
Hmm. Okay. Then Lords of Chaos. You saw on the 8th?
Yes, Lords of Chaos. This is starring one of the Culkin brothers. I don't think is it Rory? It's the youngest of the Culkin brothers that
Okay.
is acting. And it is a true story about this black metal band in I don't know, I think they're Norwegian, but it shows a story about how this guy creates this black metal band, I think in the like late 80s, early 90s, and more important than their music is kind of this culture that they build, and it's very violent. It involves like burning churches, lots of dark things. But this guy, he's just trying to get a name for himself. He's not exactly buying his hype, but things start to get pretty dark when the other people around him are really buying into this culture that they've created, and they start believing everything. And I actually really, really dug this movie.
Hmm.
It is not for everybody. It is not for the faint of heart because it's probably one of the most violent and graphic movies I've seen like in the past few years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there is a lot of blood, a lot of things that are hard to watch
Uh-huh.
for me even, and I like horror. This isn't really a horror movie, but I thought it was super interesting.
Huh.
So I would recommend it for anybody who can stomach that. Rachel, stay away from it.
I
Stay
will.
away
I
from it.
will. Is it like that one with Nicolas Cage from last year? All the
Um,
blood?
yeah, it
Maybe.
is. I would say the difference is Mandy was a little bit more over the top. It didn't feel real. Um, this has things that look very real, like trigger warning. Suicide is an aspect of it, and
Oh.
when that comes up, it is extremely graphic.
Mm,
Um, so
okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
actually put this at number 9 for the year so
Oh,
far. I really enjoyed it. So
cool. Okay. Then we have the Lego Movie 2, the second part. And so this is one of my favorite animated films so far this year, but I don't think it is perfect. So I felt it's been kind of a disappointing year so far when it comes to animation. Uh, but I thought that it was a pretty cute little story for kids that are having a hard time getting along with their siblings and them trying to, you know, see how the other person plays and thinks of things, and I thought the animation was good, and I thought it had enough funny jokes, and I certainly liked it better than Ninjago. I was kind of debating back and forth whether I liked it better than Lego Batman. I thought that the Tiffany Haddish character actually worked pretty well. Was pretty funny, and I haven't been a huge fan of a lot of her voiceover work. So overall, I enjoyed it. I have it at number 15.
okay. Yeah, I enjoyed this as well. I really was a big fan of the Lego movie. I was a big fan of the Lego Batman movie. Did not really care for Ninjago.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think I am going against the majority here. I think this is almost as good as the original Lego Batman or the Lego movie.
mm,
I left the movie theater really feeling good about it. And just the more I think about it since then, it's been 3 months since it came out. I just really like. I'm excited to watch it again.
yeah,
I really like this a lot. One aspect that they brought to this film is it's more of a musical, and I thought all of the songs were great. Like
yeah.
they were hilarious. Tiffany Haddish's character was one of my favorites. The jokes were hilarious to me. Visually, I liked it. Um, there's really see, I'm even laughing just thinking about some of the jokes. Yeah,
The
I
message is more for kids than I think the first one. The message was a little more, almost more for adults, really,
mhm.
as far as this communication between this father and son. but this one was more about kids playing, and which is a great message for kids.
Yeah, it's one we don't see very often in movies either. Like, what other movies can you think of that are about siblings trying to get along? I mean, I can't think of any.
No.
So yeah, I put this number 3 for the year.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I need to see it again. I saw it during Sundance, during the week of Sundance, and that's a busy, like crammed in time period. I saw 25 movies in 10 days. So I feel like I need to see it again to kind of really absorb it, but I haven't had that chance yet. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. So then you had on the 8th, you saw The Prodigy.
Yes. So Rachel and I have discussed that I told Rachel that I am a little bit rusty on some of these movies, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on The Prodigy. If you've seen a movie with a creepy kid, then you've already seen The Prodigy. You don't need to go see it. It brings nothing new. It has the kid that plays Georgie in it, and he's pretty good, but yeah, it was not anything original at all, and it's not really worth much of my breath. So I put this at number 40 for the year.
There you go. So then when one not good for my breath is What Men Want. I knew that I was going to hate it, so maybe that's not fair because I really don't like the original. But this was really not great. The thing I disliked, I think, the most about it was that she was such an entitled character. I don't understand how she thought she deserved this promotion when she had never gotten a professional athlete, and she works for a professional, sports agent place. Like, she never got an NBA player, an NFL player, or a professional baseball player. Like,
Well, I don't think that's fair, Rachel.
She expected to get this promotion. Why should she get the promotion of other people who've gotten these level of athletes?
She's signed her share of athletes. They just are not in those fields.
But if you're working for a major agency like that, then you need to have those kind of clients to get the kind of raise that she wanted. I felt like she was very entitled, and I thought that her attitude towards this father and the son was terrible, and I really thought she was unlikable. The only part to me that was funny was the poker scene with all the NBA players was hilarious.
Okay.
I thought that was really funny. I just thought she was just the worst. I really disliked her. And I thought that the whole sort of when she's hearing what men think and when she's not hearing it was not as well done as in the original. Mm-hmm. And I did like Wendy McClendon-Covey. That she's hilarious, and I just love her.
She's the one from Bridesmaids, right?
Wendy McClendon-Covey.
Her?
She's on the Goldbergs. I don't know.
Okay, maybe it's not. I'll look her up.
She's on the Goldbergs, and I think she's so funny. But she was funny, I thought, in this. She played kind of like her Christian friend. Anyway. But and I thought that her assistant had some nice moments, that was pretty well done. But I don't know. It wasn't for me. I didn't care for it.
And yes, she was in Bridesmaids. That's who.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hate this movie. It certainly, for me, was not as good as What Men Want, which I know you hate.
Yeah. What Women Want, you mean?
Yes. Sorry about that. But yeah, there were some times where I laughed. Like, I think about one specific part involving Erykah Badu, and she's laying down some tarot cards, and something in that like made me crack up so hard. I don't even know if you remember that. But,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she had some funny moments. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And like I said, maybe it's not fair. I knew it wasn't going to be for me. Right. I just don't like the whole concept. I have it at 56.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So only one below it. I have this at 31.
There you go. Okay. Then next, I saw a little movie called To Dust, and this is an indie film, but it was really sweet. It's about this Orthodox Jewish man that he becomes kind of obsessed with the idea of whether he was having these dreams about his departed wife and that she wasn't buried correctly, so she's not going to end up in heaven. And so he becomes kind of obsessed with it. And so he asks this biology professor at a local college, played by Matthew Broderick, about sort of the science of decomposition. And it's sort of weird. But anyway, they strike this sort of unlikely friendship. And it actually was quite humorous at times. It's not for the, there's a lot of sort of decomposition shots that if you have a short stomach, a weak stomach, then you might not like it. But because they don't spare a whole lot of detail with some of that stuff. But I thought the acting was good, and I thought it was a sweet little movie. So I have it at 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of this, but I don't know anything about it, so I feel like I know a lot more now.
There you go. Okay, then the 13th of February, we had Happy Death Day to You, a sequel to Happy Death Day. And this one, I have to admit, I came out of it thinking, oh, that was so much fun. I had such a good time, thought it was very creative. And then I haven't really thought about it again, so I don't know what that means. But I really like I like Jessica Roth. I think was having a lot of fun. I thought that there was some nice heart with her having to kind of get some closure, but also sort of have to say goodbye to her mom again. So there was some, but then there was also some good comedy. I have it at 26.
Okay. So yeah, I was a big fan of Happy Death Day. This one I didn't like as much. I think part of it is because it kind of deviated from that campy horror, and this becomes more campy sci-fi. So I didn't really like that aspect as much. It became a bit convoluted with just, I don't know, having to explain all of the different like dimensions and time travel and all of that. I don't want to get too spoilery.
Yeah.
But it just kind of lost the fun for me that the first one had. I did like Jessica Roth again, and I liked her sorority sister. I don't know her name, but I mean, they made her more of a cartoon character in this one, but it kind of worked for me. So I could understand her character may be polarizing in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put this at 23. So
okay, we're about the same then.
Yeah.
So then, Isn't It Romantic? And I kind of feel like this movie was sort of made perfectly for me.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed so much. And the first time I saw it, I was in the theater that was just primed to like it. We were all just laughing. And I thought that particularly, I think it's because I, review Hallmark movies for a lot of my time. There were so many things, just even like this oversaturation in the lighting and the colors and all the like fake flowers everywhere, and because it was funny. I was showing my friend Larry, they had spring fever just at Hallmark this last month, and I was showing him one of the things, and he's like, "You're right, it's totally exactly like Isn't It Romantic?" Like the aesthetic. It was really funny, and I there were just so many things about it that were hilarious to me. Like I loved how her assistant became her mortal enemy in the rom-com world. That was really funny to me. I really liked how every time she tried to swear, there was like a sound, beep, beep, beep. That was hilarious. I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. And I think that her and Adam Devine have just really great chemistry because of their work together in Pitch Perfect movies. And I don't know, a comedy's job is to make me laugh, and this made me laugh a lot. So I have it at number 7.
Okay. So yeah, this is one that I enjoyed leaving the theater, but it hasn't stuck with me. I don't remember a lot about it. In fact, as you were talking, I was trying to think, how exactly does this end? And I just couldn't come up with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
yeah, so I don't know. I may have to adjust my rankings, but I do have this at number 11 for now. So
Oh, pretty
pretty
high.
good.
Look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I I actually ended up seeing it twice because I don't know, I just really enjoyed
Mhm.
it. And I do agree, my uh, critic that I really like, Lonzo Giralde, he said in his reviews, like, this movie does feel a little bit too late because if it had been made 10 years ago, then it would feel super relevant because that's when they were making.
Right.
There's hardly make romantic comedies anymore unless you
Mhm.
watch Hallmark, and so it may feel more relevant to me than to other people where they're just, aside from Crazy Rich Asians, they're just not making these movies. So it is interesting, but there were over 120 references to romantic comedies in the movie, which
Oh, wow.
I think is really fun. Like even her outfits, like when she leaves the hospital, that's right out of Pretty Women. There were a ton of little references, which is fun. So anyway, it's an interesting film. So then on the 14th, we had Alita Battle Angel, and this on surface seemed totally not my thing because I usually just find these kind of movies really boring. But when I saw it, I have to admit, I was pretty charmed by it. I thought that because I thought Alita was such a likable character. She was very sweet. And it was beautiful to look at, but I found her very endearing, and so I enjoyed it. I have it at 25.
Yeah, this is one I saw in the IMAX, and I think it was definitely a good movie to see in the IMAX. Visually, this was very strong.
Yeah.
Um, I did think that there were some characters that weren't as developed as I would have liked, but yeah, I did like Alita, her character a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, I liked what they did with some of the villains. Um, I don't remember a lot about it at this point, but I do have it at number 20 for the year.
Okay, good. All right. Then the 22nd, we have Fighting with My Family. And this is definitely one of the biggest surprises, I would say, of the year. I thought that, I mean, I have no interest in wrestling like at all, but I thought it was really sweet, and I was, nice story about a family. And I liked the different perspectives of her and her brother, and her parents, and to how just finding sort of anything to kind of build your life around is all it takes to kind of, I don't know, give your life meaning. And I liked how they were just driving around finding these kids, like and come and practice. And The Rock, I mean, I knew he would just be a glorified cameo, and he was.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I was really charmed by it. I have it at 11.
Yeah, I agree with you on everything. There were some surprises about this for sure. Like it did have a lot of heart. I was surprised with the direction they went with the brother's character.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, I appreciated that. I mean, it seems like it's based on a true story, so I appreciated that they didn't like glamorize anything or try to make people look better than they
Yeah.
were. Um, in fact, the main character, like I thought she had flaws that stood out to me. I don't want to give away too much, but there are things that she would say or think
Yeah.
where I'm like, wait, are we supposed to be on her side here? Because I don't see what she's seeing.
Yeah, she can be pretty judgmental
Mhm,
of some of the other, particularly the other female wrestlers, and the movie calls her out for it,
mhm.
and she learns and grows as a character. So it's just pretty dynamic for this kind of movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I like this, and I put this in number 10.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. All right. On the 22nd, I saw Paddleton. I actually saw it at Sundance, but it's now available on Netflix. This is a really sweet little movie about these two, it's a platonic male friendship that Ray Romano, Mark Duplass, and they're friends, and they watch kung fu movies together, and they make pizza and just hang out. But then the Mark Duplass character ends up getting cancer. And so obviously kind of takes a sadder uh, note, but is actually still pretty funny, even though it's dealing with these sobering topics. And I thought it was a sweet little movie about, it seems to be the thing this year. There's sort of, you had Green Book and then To Dust and Paddleton, these sort of unlikely male friendship stories, which I think that's cool. So I have it at 18.
Okay.
So definitely worth checking out, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Then also on the 22nd, we have How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. And I thought this was pretty good. I thought that the ending worked really well, and I liked the growth on Hiccup's part. Toothless and his girlfriend was very cute. I did not like a lot of the comic relief, and this didn't really work for me. The Kristen Wiig character was pretty irritating. I know she's supposed to be, but too much. Also, I thought some of the action felt a little long to me, and I got a little bored, but the animation is incredible. I loved when they were going into the nest, I guess. I forget what they called it, but with a fluorescent kind of colors. And so that was beautiful. And they didn't have as much flying in this one as some of the others, which I love that in these movies, the flying sequences. But still, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I gave it 21. I have it at 21.
Okay. Wow. 21's pretty low. Yeah, so this one, I hate this, but I was dozing off a lot in the theater. I was just really tired. I don't blame the movie. What I did see of it, I mean, I saw most of it.
Uh-huh.
What I saw of it, I really respected and I enjoyed, especially like you said, the ending. I thought they did a great job of really pulling at your emotions there. And it felt like a good conclusion. I do wish it was a little bit more unique from the others. At this point, they're starting to blend together.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I still really enjoyed it, and mostly based on the lack of movies I love this year so far, I put this at number 5 so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Then, so I saw a movie with a very strange name on an anime film called "I Want to Eat Your Pancreas," and it's actually kind of similar to sort of Fault in Our Stars, that's kind of story where one character, teenagers in love, one of them gets sick. This kind of thing that you see quite a bit. I'd actually heard really good things about it, so I was a little bit disappointed because the whole thing is this I guess it's a saying in Japan where like it's a saying of empathy. Like, I want to absorb, I want to take those pain that you're having and I'll experience it with you. I'll have it with you, whatever. It's a weird name, but anyway, I guess it's part of their culture. And it was very sappy, but the animation was beautiful. I think if you love animation, it's worth a watch. But it was pretty cheesy, and I don't know, the characters weren't great. It wasn't my favorite. I have it at 33, which is probably a little generous. I don't know. But that's where I have it right now. So then on the first, you saw Climax?
Yes, I believe this is a French film, but there's a lot of English in it too. But this is a movie that takes place over one night. It is about this dance troupe who they're secluded into this room where they've been practicing for, I believe, 4 days on this routine that they're working on. And to celebrate them being done with their practice, they're having a big party, and somebody spikes their punch with LSD, I believe.
Yeah.
So it is just a very artsy, trippy movie. And as people start to get high and kind of out of their mind, things go crazy and off the wall. Like, it reaches levels I didn't even expect. there's a lot of really, really good dancing in this movie. So if you like dancing, I would say this is something you might want to check out. If you like artistic movies that are kind of off the wall, this is a good one for you. It does have some graphic moments. It
Mm,
has nudity. It does have violence. It has blood. Yeah, as you can tell,
uh-huh.
things do get crazy, but I was enthralled, to be honest. So I really enjoyed this. It kept my attention throughout, um, and I just couldn't wait to see where it went. So I put this at number 6 for the year.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Then we had Greta. And I don't see a ton of horror movies, but I kind of went out of my comfort zone to see this because I liked the trailer so much.
Hmm.
And I ended up really enjoying it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought that it kind of played off of sort of that, I don't know, that fear of that need of women to have sort of friendship, but also sort of the fear of friendship, but also sort of that insecurity of also feeling like you're being watched all the time, which I think is one of the scariest things like to do in a horror movie, in my opinion, is like I hate that feeling of being watched, and that's something that scares me. And I thought Isabel Ferrer was great. It was definitely over the top and kind of ridiculous when you thought about it. When I was watching it, I was totally invested and totally enjoying it. And in the end, I was just like, "Get out of the house! What are you doing?" Like, I just really thought it was fun. I have it at 14.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see what you're saying. There are some problems with the movie for me. Honestly, I had a hard time liking the lead character.
Yeah, I can
Um,
see that.
especially there were things that she would do at the beginning where she would get upset about something, and to me it was so irrational about her being so upset. It turned out being justified by the end, but I don't like it because it was not like I don't know. I don't even know how to talk
The
about
the
this without.
the uh Grace Moretz character or
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, like specifically, okay, so we know from the trailer, she freaks out when she sees that her new friend has a bunch of purses with
Yeah.
her name on.
Because
And
you're supposed to get the idea that she is just basically needing a surrogate mother, like really bad.
right.
And so she makes this Greta woman kind of her surrogate mother.
Hmm. So, but then she sees that she has these purses and she flips out. She acts like this is the worst thing in the world. For me, I would be like, wow, that's really sad. She really needs a friend.
Yeah,
But she's like, stay away from me. I never want you to talk to me again. And I'm like,
that's
is that
fair, I guess. Yeah.
rational? So I was super frustrated with her character throughout most of the movie, to be honest. There were various things. I was like, you're not a likable lead character.
Uh,
So
yeah.
that kind of put me off. I thought there were things that kind of defied physics in this movie, if you know what I mean. Um, I don't know.
That scene at the restaurant though, when she flips out, and I thought
Yeah,
that was so fun. And
yeah.
I and I really loved the ending with her friend. Like that was awesome.
Mhm.
And but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those movies you kind of either have to just go with it and just kind of go with the gimmick. I guess I hate the word like turn off your brain because that's
Right.
but I don't know. I just was so caught up in the moment that I wasn't really thinking about all those kind of things. But yeah, no, it's totally valid.
Yeah. Well, I put this at 34 for the year.
That's fair. That's fair. So yeah, I don't know. I just and granted, I think sometimes I'm maybe a little bit easier to please with certain horror things because
Mhm.
I just don't see that many. So what may
Right.
seem like, oh, this is really tired. I've seen this a million times. To other people, may not seem that way for me because I haven't seen it that many times. I don't know. Anyway, so then the hole in the ground. You saw that?
Yes, The Hole in the Ground is a horror movie. I believe it's an Irish film. And it's been getting pretty good reviews. It has an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's about this mother. She goes like in the woods, I believe, with her son, and then he gets lost for a minute. She finds him, and he's just changed, and she thinks that it's not really her son anymore. So it's another one of those movies, kind of like The Prodigy, where it's a creepy kid. Um, it was well done, so I can appreciate that aspect. Really good acting. But yeah, I just couldn't get completely into it.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I put this at number 28 for the year.
Okay. Then you also saw Tyler Perry's Medea Family Funeral, the end of Medea.
Oh, thank God.
I am Medea free. I have never watched a Medea movie. I'm so proud of myself.
Well, don't watch this one if you ever plan on getting into it. It just, I mean, the Medea franchise has definitely worn out its welcome. This wasn't funny. It's just honestly like Tyler Perry, he just makes his so many characters in his movies just awful people. Like they're all cheaters. They
Mm-hmm.
all have drama going on like that. It's not even really about Medea. Medea's more of like a side character trying to put people in their place, but it's always about these other random characters who are just awful people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think this was very funny. And I'm just glad it's done with. I put this at 46 out of 47. So,
Mm. There you go. All right, then Captain Marvel, and this movie, I thought it started really fun. I enjoyed sort of the training sequences between her and Jude Law's character. I liked, and then I thought it ended fun. With and I liked sort of the setup of all the 90s stuff, and I liked that scene on the train, and I liked the sort of all the Nick Fury stuff between her and Nick Fury. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I thought once they got to that house that it really just kind of dragged for me, and it was just like, what are they doing at this house? It kind of reminded me of Ultron in that way. Like Ultron to me, Age of Ultron starts really fun, it ends fun, but like when they're at that house, it's just kind of like what's going on. And so that was the weakness for me. I did like the story of the scrolls and kind of where that ended up going. That was creative. And overall, I thought it was harmless, but not my favorite Marvel movie by any means. I have it at 34.
oh wow, I
Mhm.
did not expect that. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
40 is my Velvet Buzzsaw is my last fresh
okay.
of my ranking. So
hmm Okay. Well, it's weird because I was agreeing with a lot of what you were saying. In fact, I expected you to have it higher than me, but I think I definitely have it way higher than you in my rankings.
interesting.
Um, yeah, I mean, one of the best parts of this movie is the cat. Um,
Oh yeah,
we can just
that is
get that out
fun.
of the way. I love the cat. I did like a lot of the action. I like the nostalgia, the music. I mean, some people, I guess, have not liked how they just shoehorned in all of these 90s songs. Like, of course,
Oh, that was fun.
there's a fight scene and they're doing Just a Girl by No Doubt.
Oh yeah, that was
Personally,
funny.
I like that. I liked all
Yeah,
these songs. I was
yeah,
singing along the whole time.
yeah.
And I really like Brie Larson as an actress. Something
Uh-huh.
about her in this film is just kind of flat. Just I think
Yeah,
it's the way she talks. It almost sounds like she's just doing like a read through of the script and she's not
yeah.
adding any inflection.
I'd agree. That's
Um,
true.
which I just was very surprised by that because that's not the Brie Larson I know. Um, so that's probably my biggest weakness for the film, which I hated that because I know a lot of people have been kind of vocally against this movie before it even came out because of
Mhm.
Brie Larson. So I wanted her to prove everybody wrong. I don't think she did that, but I'm hoping that with her being in 2 Marvel movies now and seeing some of the critiques that maybe
Mm-hmm.
she'll work on those for future films.
Mm-hmm.
But I put this at number 7 for the year.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
There you go. Okay. Then we have Gloria Bell. I didn't end up seeing this because I actually watched the original and I was like, whoa, there's a lot of strong nudity in this movie. And then I
Hmm.
heard that the new one was just the same, and I'm like,
Yep.
I'll pass.
Yeah, there's definitely some nudity in this. I don't know. I kind of didn't see myself enjoying this before I went to the theater,
Hmm.
and I was kind of right. I mean, it was,
Yeah, and I didn't really love the original anyway, so.
yeah, it didn't have much of a driving plot. I mean, just the storyline, it didn't work for me.
Mhm.
She was a frustrating character. The people around her were frustrating too. I couldn't find anything to kind of latch on and root for. So I put this number 37.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I saw Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase. And this movie, I watch these called the Cozy Mysteries on Hallmark that they do pretty much every Sunday. And they're fun. It's kind of like in the spirit of Murder She Baked is kind of the style of these mystery movies. And this was not as good as any of those. It was not feature film ready at all.
Yeah.
She was fine. The lead girl was fine, but other than that, it wasn't well done. It wasn't well photographed. It wasn't well acted. It wasn't well written. It was actually kind of violent for, I think, the age that they were aiming for. And I don't know, just there's been so many better, I would say, mystery kind of feeling movies, like the even Detective Pikachu is better than this, or Zootopia, or The House with the Clock in Its Walls, or that are better, kind of with a feel of sort of mystery, or I don't know that, or watch the original, or not the original, but watch the one with Emma Roberts, the Nancy Drew, from a few years ago. That was really cute. And so this, I just, it wasn't good. It was very bad. I have it at 52.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm
So
glad I didn't see it then, because I
no.
really wasn't interested in the first place.
No. And so then you saw Captive State.
Yeah, I thought State looked really interesting based on the trailer,
Uh-huh.
but honestly, it bored me. I thought the first 5 minutes of the film were actually the best, and it was all downhill from there. Like, character development was really poor in this film. Um, I don't know, it didn't work. There were a couple of scenes that I liked, but for the most part, it was boring. So,
Mm.
yeah, I wouldn't really
Yeah, I heard it was
recommend it.
disappointing. Yeah.
I put this at 39.
Mm. Okay. Then 5 Feet Apart. And this is another one of our teenagers with terminal illness romances. It's the
Mhm.
weirdest category ever. But I actually thought this one was pretty well done. I thought that Haley Richardson and Cole Sprouse had nice chemistry together. I definitely made me tear it up times. I think it gets a little over the top at the end. I'm like, what are you guys doing out in the snow? What is going
Mhm.
on? Also, I thought that some of the sort of romantic gestures were a little much. It's like how their patience in this thing. Like, how did they get all this setup? This fancy dinner and stuff like that. Whatever. But I thought it was sweet enough, and it didn't irritate me the way some of these type of movies do. I have it at 29.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a theme with these movies that I'm talking about where the lead characters make very frustrating decisions.
Yeah,
And this movie is no exception there.
especially at the end.
Right. Like life or death frustrating thing. Oh my gosh! But don't get me started on that. I do agree with you though that the leads in this, I thought they were very, very good, and they did have really good chemistry. I did enjoy this quite a bit. I put this at number
Number 7?
17.
Oh, 17. 17. Great. Okay, cool. Then the Mustang, and this I saw at Sundance, and I was so impressed by it. I thought it managed to take this really rage-filled character, and yet I felt such empathy for him, and I thought his relationship with this horse felt very organic and like I don't know, it really worked for me. I thought the ending was very surprising and worked for me. I thought that all the, side performances, I think Matthias Schoenaert is incredible. I think he's definitely the best acting I've seen all year. I thought he was great. And overall, I just thought it was a really moving, really well done movie. I have it at number 6.
Okay. Yeah, I saw this and I thought it was well done for sure. It hits all of the beats. It just feels like one of those filler movies getting into Oscar season, like on the way. You
Uh-huh.
got to sprinkle some of these along the way. That's kind of what that felt for me,
Uh-huh.
and it's not something that I'm gonna remember in a few months. I barely remember it now, but yeah, it was well done technically. The acting was solid. I don't know. I put this at number 30.
Okay. Then on the 15th is Wonder Park, and this is not a successful film. They ended up not having a director, and you can tell tonally it's all over the place. I think that it has interesting ideas, but then it just can't. I don't know, do interesting things with them. Like I like the idea that you have this pretty flawed little girl that gets angry, that gets upset, that's very human. But I don't know. I feel like they didn't really do a whole lot interesting with them. I like the idea of this park. I like the idea that it's her park that she designed with her mother. I I think the animation has some nice moments. I think the voice acting has some nice moments, but it just feels frustrating because it just doesn't come together into a good story, and it just feels really fragmented. And yeah, it just didn't work. But I felt kind of bad for him because I felt bad for the animators because you could tell they were like really trying, but it was just a hopeless endeavor. So I have it at number 50.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I feel like I like this more than some people, but it's still not a great film. I remember right after it came out, I saw that you were critiquing the animation of it, and
Yeah,
I thought the animation of it was actually one of its strong suits, for a non-Pixar, not from one of the big studios.
it was just the way that they had the shots. I felt like it was through like a fisheye lens. It was very like I felt like a lot of times the characters were kind of right up against the it was like they were doing 3D, but it wasn't in 3D, and it was just sort of jumping out at me, kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but I was just like, move back.
Yeah,
I don't like the composition. That's true. I actually kind of forgot that I didn't like that part of it. But yeah, you're right. I didn't like that when I first saw
right.
it.
Yeah, and I kind of felt the opposite. I thought
Uh-huh.
that was actually a strong part of it.
Uh-huh.
So I guess your listeners can tell us who they agree with more.
Yeah.
But yeah, this story didn't all come together. Mostly, I just thought that the, I mean, it's just so weird to have the park like run by these animals. Like there's not
Yeah.
even like a creative. They're not even like creative fictional animals. They're just like very realistic animals that talk, and it's just like a what kid would create this? But I did like some of the heart behind it. I liked that we got to see this kid struggling with coping with her mother's sickness. So I didn't think it was terrible by any means,
Hmm.
but I put this at 35.
Okay. So then you saw The Beach Bum.
Yes, I did. So this is a movie with Matthew McConaughey, and there's a few other people in it, like Isla Fisher,
Uh,
Snoop Dogg, and this is by the creator of Spring Breakers, which I was not crazy about.
uh-huh.
Um, but I actually found myself enjoying this a little bit more. It's about this character who he's the definition of a hedonist. He does whatever he wants, whatever he feels good. He has sex, he does drugs, he's lazy. He he's somebody who doesn't take any sort of responsibility or try to achieve to any sort of goals. And you get to kind of see um, him develop after a situation happens, which I didn't expect, and I can't say because it would be a big spoiler. But I actually thought it was enjoyable considering everything about his lifestyle was 100% unrelatable to me. Like, I feel like he's the antithesis of who I am.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody. There's certainly some nudity. There's lots of sex.
Uh-huh.
There's drugs, but yeah, it's good for some laughs if you can stomach all of that stuff. So I put this at 25 for the year.
Cool. Okay. Then we had Us. This is our Jordan Pele film, and I enjoyed this movie for the first like 2/3 as just like a really fun little horror comedy. I liked them kind of I don't know, this like, sort of this whole family with like them doing their kill counts and like and their kind of creative ways of getting out of the zombies, and particularly the whole part at the Elizabeth Moss house was, I
Mhm.
thought, really fun. I was enjoying it, but I have to say the last third, when it gets all sort of existential, I didn't, it's not that I minded that it got existential, I just didn't understand what he was trying to say. Maybe I'm stupid, I don't know, I didn't understand what the point of it all was, and so then it became kind of frustrating to me, and I'm like, are they, what is he talking, it's obviously something about identity, something about race, but I didn't really understand what he was trying to say. Something about class, a little bit. It seemed like something a little bit about. Uh, I don't know. I didn't, something about America, the American dream. I didn't understand, and so, but I still liked it enough for that first 2/3. And it was obviously really well made, and I thought Lupito was incredible, playing both roles, and I liked both the kids. I have it at 19. It's probably a little generous, but I don't know. I liked it for most of the movie. It was just the ending. I was like, what is going on?
Okay, so this was my most anticipated movie that we talked about
Uh-huh.
during this time frame. I was really looking forward to it. Um, and after watching it, I was not disappointed at all.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not really on the same page as you here.
Uh-huh.
I thought it all worked for me. The acting was great. I
Yeah.
really liked the horror elements. I like the comedic elements. Um, and I really like movies that just leave you thinking and you feel obligated to go look up everything that you may have missed about that movie. And that's kind of how I felt about this. The
Uh-huh.
conclusion I came to, and first of all, I don't think that there was a statement about race at all. I think Jordan Peele has actually said as much that this isn't about race. Um, the conclusion I came to, though, is that while the message is mostly up for interpretation of the audience, I I think it's more supposed to be taken at face value. I don't think that there is a huge underlying meaning,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're just supposed to enjoy it for what it is, and maybe learn more in the future because Jordan Peele has talked about how he would actually like to make sequels to this or spin-offs in
Uh-huh.
this universe, which I would be completely down for. But yeah, I love this.
Mhm.
Um, it is actually my number two movie of the year.
Mm, good. Okay. Yeah, I definitely felt like he was trying to say something with that Hands Across America and
Mhm.
some other stuff, but I didn't really understand what it was. So, but yeah, there was a lot of good things about it. I gave it fresh, certainly.
Okay,
But
good.
cool. Okay. So next we had Hotel Mumbai. I've heard good things. I didn't get to see it. What do you think?
Yeah, this was a very well done movie. I certainly don't remember hearing much about this in the news. I mean, of course, us Americans, we when it comes to these countries, these non-white European countries, like it's harder for us to remember these type of news stories, which is unfortunate. But this is a very compelling story about this terrorist attack that was going on in Mumbai, and just these like it wasn't an isolated thing. It was happening overnight at various hotels and areas. It's almost like one of those movies that it's hard to believe this really happened. It just feels so cinematic, and I don't know. I would definitely recommend this, especially if you're unfamiliar with what these people went through. I think it's worth watching and educating yourself a bit. So I put this at number 13.
Okay. Yeah. And it has Dev Patel in it, right?
Yes, and I love him. So
Oh, he's so dreamy to me. I love him. Yeah.
yeah.
I need to see that. Okay. And then High Life.
Yeah,
That's
I actually just saw High Life last night. The trailer for this is so enthralling to me, and I really like the direction Robert Pattinson has gone down lately. Um, but watching this in the theater last night, I was actually a little disappointed. I think maybe I just set my expectations way too high. Um, the movie, it really didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I mean, it's about this guy who's in space with his baby daughter, and you find out that he was sent into space on a mission with several other people who were all criminals. Um, so it kind of reminded me of the 100, if you're familiar with that, the concept of the TV show The 100. Um, but you just slowly like learn what happened leading up to him being alone on this spacecraft with his daughter. Um, it's very bizarre, but not necessarily in the kind of way I enjoy. It's very sexual. Um, there's, if anybody, trigger warning, there's rape involved in parts of this movie. So yeah, pretty graphic nudity as well. Um, I don't know. I don't think I've had enough time to really sit on it and think about how I feel. But right now, I have it at 33 for the year.
Okay, good. All right. Then Pet Cemetery you saw.
Yes. So this is a remake. Um, well, it's a remake from a book, but
Yeah.
we did have the 1989 movie.
Hmm.
But this one definitely goes in different directions. Um, what I did not appreciate going into the movie was the second trailer for this film really gave away some pretty big surprises, some pretty big deviations
Hmm.
from the original book and movie. Um, and man, if I had watched this movie, not seeing that second trailer, my mind would have been blown, and I think I would have appreciated that more. But I don't know. It was just frustrating knowing like there was such a shocking moment, but I already knew it was coming. Honestly, the trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer, the second trailer, and you're interested in Pet Cemetery, do not watch it, please. Um, but yeah, they did take some creative choices. The ending goes in a different direction as well, so I appreciated those elements. I didn't love it, but I thought it was good. It was a solid effort. So I put this in number 16.
Hmm. Yeah, I heard very mixed responses
Mm-hmm.
from it. That's why I was like, eh.
Yeah.
I thought about maybe if it was really good, maybe going out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But it was a stressful time, and if it wasn't great, forget it. Then we have Shazam on the 5th, little movie that didn't interrupt my life at all. Now, so I was actually looking forward to it. I love Zachary Levi. I think he's so charming, and I love him as Flynn Rider. And I thought it looked charming from the trailers, and I so I was hopeful that I'd like it, and I went in and I watched it, and I didn't like it. I thought that it felt like two movies trying to cram together, and they didn't mesh well. I felt like it had some of these darker aspects to it, and the director is a horror filmmaker in his background, and then it had these really sort of family film, really lighthearted kind of moments, and I didn't think they transitioned from one moment to the next well, and I felt the tone was very uneven, and I didn't think that the character at all felt like the same character as the boy versus the Shazam character. They didn't feel the same to me. And when you do that, when you do like 30 going on 30 or some other kind of transformation kind of movie, you want it to feel like it's still that same person in the other version, and I didn't feel that way. And I felt like that there were parts where I felt like the foster kid that was his friend, I kind of wondered, are they like working up some kind of where he's going to become the villain, because he just kept getting treated so badly by the Billy character, and especially when he didn't show up to fight the bullies. I thought, boy, this how much is this kid going to be able to take before he becomes really angry? And I'm like, they're making this character really unlikable. And yeah, he's 15. I get that, but still. And I just thought the whole scene in the boardroom in particular kind of was where I got lost on the movie, because you have all of these people in this boardroom who have just like gone to work. They haven't done anything wrong. And yet you have this villain coming in, throwing a guy out of a window. Like, what? But at least that guy was a villain. But then you have all of these people that basically end up getting eaten, and they're banging up against the glass trying to get free through no fault of their own. And I'm like, what? To me, it came out of nowhere. I felt like it was just really tonally all over the place. And I don't care what people say. I think the tone is important, and I think managing tone in a movie is really important. And so I left with a really kind of bad taste in my mouth. I didn't enjoy it, and people hated me for that, and whatever. So I have it at 49.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming with some of your points here. I do agree that grown-up Billy and young Billy, they didn't really seem like the same person. But I don't think it was a huge issue for me. Like, it was noticeable, but not super noticeable. Um, One of my other issues, I guess, was kind of the animation, I want to say, of these, like, what are they, Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
It looked a little like cheap in a way. I didn't have a problem with that boardroom scene, though, as far as innocent people dying, because I mean, innocent people die in movies all the time, so that doesn't bother me. But otherwise, I really loved this movie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was way better than I expected, and it probably does come down to expectations for me, because of the DC movies that have come out in the DC universe so far, this was the one that I was least interested in, but it's probably the one I like the most. I really like the humor element. I thought the casting was very good all around. Um, and I really liked what they did in the third act because I did not see that coming at all. The whole resolution for the movie,
Yeah.
it completely caught me off guard, but I really liked that. And I guess comic readers may have expected that. But yeah, I it's rare that a movie, especially a superhero movie, can just surprise me like that, and it did. So I appreciated that. Yeah, this was a movie that I left and I almost immediately wanted to go see it again. I haven't seen it again yet, but I am definitely looking forward to it. But I mean, I completely respect anybody's reasonings for not liking it. And we should do that with all movies, like whether we like it or not. People are allowed to have opinions, and that's what makes the world great, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it would be boring if we all thought the same about all the films. And I go into every movie hoping that there's nothing I like more than being pleasantly surprised
Right.
by a movie. And I loved Wonder Woman, and I really liked the last year, the Justice League Dark, the animated film. I thought that was really good.
Okay.
So I don't have some bias. I just happen to have not enjoyed a bunch of the DC films, and I'm sorry. That's just me, and I try my best to explain my reasons as best I can. And you can disagree with me, and that's fine, and that's great. And you can think I'm stupid, that's fine too. But just when it comes to the spot of people, I don't know, sending me death threats and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it's just ridiculous, and it's not something that does your property that you like any favors,
Right.
and certainly doesn't change my opinion. So, if anything, it made it lower than it might have been otherwise.
Yeah,
But
and
I don't know.
I want to add, like, nobody was rooting more for the DC Universe films than me. I'm a huge Batman fan. I have been since I was a kid. So when I found out they were doing these, I was excited and I
Yeah.
couldn't wait for them to cream the Marvel movies. And honestly, like, we have to be honest, they just have not. Like, I would love if they were better,
Yeah.
but they have not. They're
Yeah.
making steps in the right direction, I believe. I've
Yeah.
certainly liked Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman more than most of the others. And I think there's hope for these movies.
Mhm.
Um, but being critical of them does not mean you have a bias against them and that you're pro Marvel. The Marvel movies, they've just found a formula that works,
Mhm.
and DC's finding its legs.
Yeah.
So I I
Yeah.
personally think that this is a huge step in the right direction. Rachel may not,
Yeah.
and that is okay.
Yeah. I mean, I love X-Men so much. X-Men animated series is one of my all-time favorite superhero properties. I absolutely love that. I like the original X-Men movies. I like Days of Future Past, but there have been horrible X-Men movies. And that doesn't mean I dislike X-Men. It's just you just have to be honest about the film that you're watching. So, anyway, there you go. Then see next I
Oh,
saw.
sorry, I ranked that in number 4 for the year, by
Oh,
the
okay, good. So then I saw Dumbo, and this was on literally the Monday after the whole Shazam blow up, and the the I had actually gotten the death threat on the day of the Dumbo screening, and so I was just primed to like this movie because it's all about this poor Dumbo that gets treated terribly and by these people, and I so I don't even know like how valid my opinion is, because it was just such a moment that was a weird moment that I connected with it. But I thought that Dumbo was so cute, and I thought that there were a lot of cute moments. I thought they did Baby Mine really well, and I mean, I have not liked a Tim Burton movie in a long time. And overall, I just left this movie feeling like, oh, that was sweet. It was a sweet little movie. I think that some of the stuff with Michael Keaton's character doesn't really work. And I didn't really love the casting of Colin Farrell. I felt like his accent kind of wandered in and out. And I just thought, like, why not hire somebody that's an amputee actor for the part? Like, because I just didn't feel like he brought anything that great to the role. So why not give an opportunity for somebody that actually has, because a lot of times you need somebody for the before and after, but that's not the case here. It was just starting, the first time you see him was as an amputee character. And so I thought that was a bit of a miss. And I also thought the ending with the circus without animals was a groaner. I thought that was just like, ugh. But I don't know. Overall, I thought it was charming enough. I have it at 24.
Yeah, so this movie, what I appreciate about it is that unlike a lot of these Disney remakes that we're seeing lately, they kind of deviate and create their own story. And it's not just like a scene for scene remake. So I really appreciated that aspect. I did like the casting. It was good to see Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton together again. I was really hoping that they would throw in like a Michelle Pfeiffer cameo. That would have
been fun, yeah.
But yeah, this is it. Unfortunately, it's not a movie that's going to leave a lasting impression on me.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine it will leave a lasting impression on most people who see it. It's good for what it is, but not an instant classic. So I put this at number 15. So
that's fair. We have The Best of Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't end up going to the screening because I don't know, this movie just looked kind of awful to me, and I just wasn't in the mood for this kind of movie. But you saw it. What do you think?
Yeah, it did look kind of awful. I mean, I was pretty critical about the trailer during our podcast previewing these movies. It certainly wasn't as bad as I expected. And watching it, it was a pretty incredible story. I can see why they would want to have this told. So basically, it's about this black school gets burned down partially, and so they need to move these kids into the white school, but the community does not want that. They want these black kids to continue going to school in their school, but they have to do rotation. Some students going in the day, some going at night, just because there's not enough room now in this school. So they put together this community committee, and they have to have, I think it is a 8-4 majority to get these schools to combine. And one of the people put on this community is the leader of the Ku Klux Klan in this town. So it's actually a pretty incredible story, like seeing what happens between his character and this lady's character, who has a kid who goes to the school. They're polar opposites, and they clash so much. But just seeing where it goes, and I really don't want to spoil too much, but I mean, it is called Best of Enemies. So you might be able to guess what happens, but it's really cool. I don't think it was executed as well as it could have been. I couldn't completely buy Taraji as this character with this accent. It did feel a bit like a caricature, but I think there's a lot of heart to it. I think it's a movie that needed to be made. I think it's worth seeing at least once.
Yeah, and let's tell Sam Rockwell's agent to like have him be like in a cute romantic comedy next. He's done so many of these racist characters. Like he needs to take a break.
Exactly. Yeah.
Big time. So There we go.
Yeah. So I put this movie at number 24. So it was a surprise. I didn't love it, but that's higher than I certainly expected.
Okay. Well, so then The Perfect Date. This was on Netflix. This stars Noah Centineo, who was in To All the Boys I Loved Before. And I think he is going to be a big star. He is so charming and handsome and just, I don't know, he's, obviously not in my demographic as far as he's a youngin', but I don't know. I think he's got a lot of star appeal. And I said in my review that I thought that, oh, well, like, if I was 16, I would have really liked it. If you're 16, you would probably like it. And my niece, who's 15, she called me up and she's like, "No, we don't like it." She's like, "You're wrong. We didn't like it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it's not a very good movie. It's about this kid who I felt like it was trying to be kind of Ferris Bueller light, but it didn't have the sort of emotional heft of Ferris Bueller, which is actually a pretty emotional movie if you break it down. And like he's sort of the slick, cool kid, and he develops this app where girls can go on the perfect date with him, and he'll teach them about how to be a great date or whatever. I don't know. And I didn't think that he had chemistry with either of the two leading ladies, and it was just a really kind of not great story and not good script. So I have it at 46 right now.
Okay.
In my ranking. So, but I do think he's going to be a big star.
Yeah, I hope so. I liked him in To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yeah. So, all right. Then you saw Hellboy.
I did. And boy, Hellboy was getting some pretty bad reviews when I went to
it did. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can kind of see why, but I do think that critics are being a little harsh on it. First of all, I think visually this is such a good movie, like visually. It's another one of those movies that's pretty violent and graphic. Almost more than it should be tonally. But yeah, I didn't think it was terrible. I liked what they did with the villain. The main flaw that it had was the plot was a little boring, which is a pretty big flaw. So yeah, I'm not like rushing out to see it again, and I'm not dying for a sequel. But I don't know, it wasn't awful. I put this at 26.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I think it was definitely one of the biggest flops of the year. That's for sure.
Yes,
they lost their shirt with that movie. So that's interesting. All right. So then we're almost done. We had Little. You saw Little?
Yes. So Little is kind of like Big, except the opposite. I would say the first 30 minutes of this movie I was really digging, and it was largely because of Regina Hall. I thought she was back to her comedy roots, and she was hilarious, and I was just really enjoying the movie. Then she becomes Little, so you kind of lose Regina Hall. And the movie's still good. It still has legs to it. It just kind of lost momentum, which was disappointing. But overall, I didn't think it was bad. I thought it definitely had some good laughs, even though some of the plot points were a little do we really need to see like a kids talent show? Like, is that something that would really happen with this character, that they would care to go to a kids talent show? No, probably not. But yeah, it's not bad. I think I would recommend it, but I don't expect everybody to like it. I put this at 18.
Okay. Then Missing Link. And so I love Leica Studios. I love stop motion. But going into it, I was not thrilled with the character designs, but I was hoping it would somehow win me over, or I guess the trailers as well, because I love Leica so much. That I was hoping, but I ended up not really caring for this movie. I don't like the character designs. I don't like the triangle nose on Lionel. I don't like the pig nose on Susan. I didn't think it was very funny. I felt like it was there were a lot of parts that were sort of boring to me. Like I thought the whole plot line at the Emma Thompson Yeti, I just thought that was just kind of what's going on? Like this is just not, I don't know. I thought I didn't love Susan as a character. I thought that, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of grating, just not my favorite. And I don't know, I just wanted to love it. I loved some of the animation, was incredible. But I was disappointed by it. And I have it at 42. I couldn't go fresh on it.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I'm a terrible
Wow.
person.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree that I really enjoy Leica. I really respect that studio and what they do.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
what they like to do with their movies is like during the credits they show kind of like a behind the scenes, like where you see the whole set, and they do that in this movie too, and I really like that part. I actually did like Susan. I found, and it still like cracks me up to call him Susan. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought he was an endearing character. He had this like charm and naivete, and there was just no jaded aspect that you get from so many of your lead characters. And I just did not want that from this character, and we didn't get it, and I appreciated that. He was so earnest, and I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that aspect. Um, I thought that the two lead characters in this had some pretty good chemistry going on. I thought the animation was strong. I mean, I I can agree with you that the character design for Susan was not my favorite, but other than that, I didn't really have any strong issues. Yeah, so I enjoyed this movie. It didn't leave the best impression on me. Certainly didn't like it nearly as much as Kubo, but I still put this at number 14.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So then I saw a anime film that I ended up really enjoying called Penguin Highway. And this is a really cool story about this kid who starts to notice all of a sudden there are all of these penguins that are appearing in his town, and they're like in Japan, so they don't have penguins. And so there's sort of a supernatural sort of element to it. He starts to investigate. He's like a little kind of investigator, and it felt a little bit like a anime version of Stranger Things, a little bit to me. And except for, as opposed to 11, being a young girl in Stranger Things, this is the kind of the leader of the penguins is this woman. And it was really beautifully animated. It was really creative. It surprised me. I didn't know where it was going. The mystery I thought was very effective. I think that there's some weird moments because there's some implication that this young boy and this woman that runs that's connected to the penguins are going to somehow end up together, which was sort of weird and didn't really work. But aside from that, I really thought it was very creative and it was very unpredictable, and I just really enjoyed it. And I have it at number 8.
Okay.
It's my favorite animation of the year.
Oh, wow. Good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you saw The Curse of La Lorena?
The Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, Rona.
Yes, those double L's are like a Y sound,
Okay.
which anytime I heard this or saw the trailer, it reminded me of My Sharona.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Um, yeah, so I think it kind of started with The Conjuring, where we get these movies about like possession or ghost, and it's just kind of been trending ever since then. But the quality has been just going down and down. And I kind of had some hopes for this, but I really shouldn't have because this wasn't great either. I mean, it had some good moments. Especially there's a scene with two kids in a car and they're trying to stay safe from a ghost that's outside of the vehicle trying to get in. And that had some pretty good suspenseful moments to it. But overall, it was just a very formulaic movie that didn't bring much new. So I didn't love this, but it wasn't terrible. So I put it at number 32 for the year.
Okay, good. Then I saw Penguins, Disney Nature's Penguins. It was just Penguin Month.
With Steve.
With Steve the penguin. And I love these Disney nature documentaries, and they always try to give sort of a narrative and give them a name. And this is like the plucky little penguin who's always kind of hanging behind, and it was really cute. The penguins are super cute, and there was a moment that really surprised me where the penguin like basically has to play dead just to fool this leopard seal, and I was like, no way, there's no way this is gonna work, and it sure as heck worked. I was so surprised, and then he just went on his merry way. I was like, wow, that's a smart penguin. And so that was fun. I thought that the music cues were way over the top and way ridiculous and made me laugh. Uh, like REO Speedwagon, like narrating the romance was a little much. I was telling my friend, I was like, did somebody play Guitar Hero and then just like put the songs? But it was cute. I enjoyed it. I have it at 20.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen this, but the trailer for it worked for me more than most of these other Disney nature films. I thought it seemed pretty cute.
It was cute. It really was for kids. It's really for kids, you know. So, so then I also saw an anime called Oko's Inn, and this is a cute. It's this really cute movie for little kids about this girl. She ends up having to live with her grandma after her parents pass away, and she decides she's going to become her. She lives in this inn with her grandma, and she decides she's going to become the junior innkeeper, and she's going to learn all that it takes to become an innkeeper. But meanwhile, she sees all of these ghosts that are at the inn, and they kind of teach her cute little lessons, and she learns, and she learns to, there's sort of a bully at school that she learns to get along with. And this is for little kids. It's very cute, but it doesn't have the adult appeal that maybe some other anime might have. But I have it at 31. It's harmless, cute. So then we have our final little indie film we're talking about is Avengers Endgame. So this is our epic ending to a 22 movie cycle of the Marvel MCU. And I actually seen it 3 times. I loved it. I thought it was so good. I thought that, and you know, you and I were both like mixed on Infinity War, I would say.
Yes.
And so I was I didn't know if I would love this, but I don't know. I just thought they nailed it. I thought it was so good. I really liked the ending for Captain America. I really liked the ending for Iron Man. I really liked Chubby Thor. I thought was really good because I think that everybody's response was totally valid to, I think, how their characters had been built up, and also to what I think different people would handle that kind of horrible tragedy, in those ways. Like, it's a valid response to something like that happening. And so I dug it. I thought that was cool. When he gets when he gets Mueller back, his hammer, and he's like, he realizes that he's worthy. I thought that really was beautiful and nice. And I thought that there were just so many great moments, and I was just, every time they went back into one of the other movies, I was just smiling and made me happy. And I loved, I don't know, little moments like even Loki getting the Tesseract. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Oh no. That was fun. And when Captain America is fighting Captain America, that was amazing. I loved the scene in the elevator. That just was the best. When all of a sudden the sky is just full of those portals, I guess, whatever, and the Avengers assemble. That was amazing, I thought. And I just loved it. I thought it was incredible. I thought they did it. I walked away just thinking, they did it. It was amazing. Way to go. Right now, I I'm debating because I have an indie that I saw at Sundance that I absolutely loved. And then this is like a totally different experience that I absolutely loved. So right now I have Avengers Endgame at number 2, but they're so different. It's hard, you can't even compare the two. They're totally different.
Right.
But I just thought it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't talked to Rachel at all about Avengers Endgame yet.
Yeah.
She has no idea what I think about this movie. But yeah, as she talked about, I was definitely very mixed on Infinity War. I didn't like what they did with the end. I felt like they were insulting our intelligence with the snap.
Right. Yeah.
I knew that there was no way that we could just lose all of those characters. Even I've had some friends be like, "Well, some of them may come back, but I've heard that they won't all come back." Guess what? They all came
They
back.
all came back.
And they
It's
all
true.
survived.
It's true.
They're fine. But this movie I actually loved. I really loved it. Yeah, like I liked it way more than I even expected.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't expect to feel so emotional and almost cry in a Marvel movie. Like I never would have expected that, but you're right. They just nailed the closure for so many of these characters. And I really liked the direction they're taking some of these characters as well. Like um I, I guess it's okay to spoil a little bit because Rachel sure has been, but
Yeah.
I've thought that Thor would fit so well with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I was so excited that ending. I'm like, because I didn't love Guardians 2, but now I'm so pumped for Guardians 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Although I guess we got to figure out how we can get Gamora back in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that especially the scene where all of the Avengers who had been snapped away like come and join. That like really gave me chills and made me want to like get out of my seat and just like cheer. That was such an epic, cool moment. I mean, it is impossible to find a movie more epic than this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no movie that's on. The closest I can think of is Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. But man,
but I think this, I mean, everybody's talking about 3-hour movie or whatever. I think this clips along really well. I think that Infinity War is more, there were more moments when I was a little bit struggling, a little bit bored. Whereas this, and yeah, it's time travel. And they actually, like, people are like, oh, there's plot holes. I'm like, they literally explain the plot holes. Because they say that they're starting a whole new, they say that's why they can't go back and kill baby Thanos. They can't, because they're not changing the past. They're creating, the past becomes the future, creating a new present, right? And so they're creating a whole alternate timeline, basically, and that like is true in physics. There's a whole thing in physics called the many worlds theory. When you get down to the quantum physics, there's a thing. There's like multiple worlds. It's way beyond what I can understand, but anyway, I thought that they explained literally that there's a whole new pathway, a whole new thing being created. That's why they have to go back and return all of the stones.
Right. Yeah.
So
So as far as the time and it feeling long or dragging, this is actually hard for me to really gauge because I had a unique experience with this movie.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. I forgot that.
We had tornadoes going on in my area while this movie was on, so they actually had to pause the movie. There's a part where the Hulk is confronting Tilda Swinton, and he's going to try to get the time stone from her, and she does this thing and knocks him back, and Bruce starts to come out of the Hulk, and it just became slow, and then it paused, and I'm like, ooh, she's frozen the time. And then somebody comes in and they announce, hey, so the IMAX is a storm shelter during
so crazy
tornadoes, so we're going to put the movie on pause for a while. And I'm like, oh, I legitimately just thought that was part of the movie. But yeah, so I ended up having a 4-hour experience in the movie theater. But yeah, it really didn't drag for me at all. I've only seen it the one time. I'd love to go see it again. Um, but yeah, I'm glad we're ending with this one
Hmm.
because this is my number one movie of the year. So,
Yeah, it's so good. Oh,
mhm, which I
yeah.
did not expect that, and it's
Hmm.
probably my favorite of these Marvel movies.
Yeah. I mean, for a long time, the first Avengers was my favorite.
Hmm.
But I think this got to take it over that. I mean, uh,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah, I think it's my favorite
and
too.
one of my favorite movies in the Marvel universe is that first Iron Man. It really set the stage well,
Yeah, it's
and I
really good.
like that this was such a like good continuation and closure
Hmm.
for that first movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, people keep saying this is a good ending for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it really isn't. It's just
The ending of this phase.
yes, the
Yeah.
ending of the third phase, and like it almost feels like the first three phases are like their own book, but we're gonna get a new book. So
Yeah, I'm really excited. And
me
yeah,
too.
it it made me excited for Spider-Man to see what's going to happen.
Hmm.
But yeah, I know I just loved it. And so yeah, it's I have right now it is my favorite Marvel movie of the moment. Like I was will come back in about 6 months or whatever and see if that recency bias has kind of changed at
Right.
all. But yeah, I have Avengers, Endgame, The Avengers, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Thor: Ragnarok, and Iron Man. It's my top five.
Okay.
So
That's a
not too
solid
different.
top five.
Yeah,
I'd have at least three or four of those in my top five.
yeah.
Um, I will also add that I took a couple of my friends to see this movie, and they have really not seen many of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So in fact, we went for sushi before the movie. I didn't eat it because I don't like sushi,
Uh huh.
but during while they were eating, I played like a 15-minute YouTube video to kind of catch them up on what happened throughout the other movies. And even though they had not seen these movies, and one of them actively is not crazy about this kind of movie, they both really loved it as well.
Hmm.
So I
That's
think
awesome.
it's like a movie that can work for almost anybody.
Yeah, I certainly think so.
Hmm.
So very good. We did it. We
We
got
did
through
it.
them all. And so yeah, it was sort of a weird period. But yeah, for me, my favorites would be Avengers Endgame, and then the Mustang, and Isn't It Romantic, Penguin Highway, and Fighting with My Family would be my
Hmm.
top five of the ones we talked about. So
Okay, and my top five are How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. That's fifth. Four is Shazam. Three is the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Did I say two?
yeah,
Oh no, I said the Lego Movie 2. That threw me off.
yeah,
Two is Us, and one is Avengers Endgame.
very good, solid list. All right, well, thanks so much. And where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter. I am the David Healy. And you can also find both of us on Facebook in our group Film Freaks. That's facebook.com/Film Freaks group.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, and on iTunes and YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, if you can give us a rating and review, we really appreciate it. And if you are listening on YouTube, if you can give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, we really appreciate that as well. And let us know what your favorites were, what you thought of some of the films we talked about. If maybe there's one that we talked about that you're going to check out because it might be smaller or you missed it, we'd love to hear about that as well. And so thanks again. So,
Yeah.
so much fun. And
One more thing. Um, do you have anything you can promote right now, Rachel?
I can promote right now.
She doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Well, I I hope our next podcast we do is going to have video because I am going to be wearing a new shirt that I ordered.
oh, that was you.
Yes.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, so we have a store on TeePublic, and I just uploaded my smile-worthy and frown-worthy designs that I use on my blog and on my reviews up onto the site. I'll put a link on there. You can check it out. That was really fun. And also, I am now on Patreon. If you like what we're doing, we've combined my Hallmarkies work with my Rachel's Reviews work. And so you can get some fun perks, some fun benefits. You can actually request a podcast. You can, depending on your rate, you can request a family movie night review. There's lots of fun things that you can get. You can even get a t-shirt with a sponsorship of I think it's $10 or $15 a month that you can get a t-shirt. So lots of cool perks on Patreon and at our merch store. So we'll have links for that all down below. And so check it out. Let me know what you think. And thanks again. And we will talk again soon about summer movies.
Yep.